Do. I think I see a green light.
That's a green light on Totar Win Thursday. What?
Win. This guy so much sack. He protect, he attack. This why no more homo erotic rocket ranches. Got it? Got it. Oh, jeez. So much Wayne.
And hello, Gavin. Thanks for joining
I
us
could
this
bebop
morning.
along to that song all day. Good to see you, little buddy. All right, so what is our Totar Win this week? Cameron, do you want to do the honors?
Yeah, our Totar Win this week is that an embassy was attacked, and since our president is not a walking beta cuck, we actually sent troops in to defend our embassy, and we didn't have an ambassador get raped to death in some Middle Eastern desert. Does that about sum it up?
Oh, wow. You mean that our intrepid ambassador that's stationed in that backward shithole country wasn't raped and murdered, slowly tortured by
And
the
multiple
enemies of the United States of America? I wonder how that happened.
Oh, it's pretty easy. Our embassy said help, and our guys said, okay, we help you.
Yeah,
Like
said we'll be there instead of stand down.
Oh, apologies,
Gavin, what do you mean which country? Our country.
No, in Iraq, our embassy in Baghdad,
Yeah, okay.
and we're about to give you the rundown.
It's like watching a movie
that.
with your kids, Gavin. Just keep watching. We'll answer questions. Yeah.
Oh, see, that's not my kids. Mine'll be quiet and see if they get their answers by the end of it. It's my wife who's like, wait, what's going on? Shh, watch the whole movie, then ask questions.
Watch any of the movie.
Okay, then.
Yes, sir. So, what happened was we've been getting rocket fire from Iranian-backed militia groups in Syria and Iraq. A little while ago, one of our U.S. contractors, one of our civilian contractors, was killed, and he was the first casualty from the rocket attacks. The Trump response? Well, he didn't go to Moab, and you know we're fond on the show of saying, don't go to Moab, except in retaliation. But he did drop 5 airstrikes in Syria and Iraq, killing 24 of the Iranian-backed militia who were responsible for the attacks that killed one of our contractors. And that is the correct answer. The response has been protesters. And they're chanting death to America. It's all right here. Marched through the green zone in Baghdad. And be clear about this. Broke into the compound of the American embassy.
Yeah, that is an act of war. If we were to break into the French embassy, we would have effectively declared war on France. And hey,
that's a bad example. Pick somebody that doesn't surrender immediately.
Oh, now look, I realize we're not going to get too deep into the whole complex geopolitical nature of the cluster that is the Middle East, but you know, an Iranian-backed militia is in Syria. An Iranian-backed militia is in Iraq. There's Iranian-backed protests going on in Baghdad. It's not like we did something to the Iraqis, and it's the Iraqis that are protesting. And I dare say Iraq has far more reason to protest than Iran does, because by some estimates, they've suffered 600,000 civilian casualties since we rolled our tanks in. So, no, it's not Iraqis protesting, it's Iranians protesting. That's just, there's a whole lot wrong there. Just pointing it out.
Yeah, I'd like to get my hands on some of the Iranian propaganda and try and get an idea of what it is that the Iranian people believe is going on. But the big beef with Iran is they're pissed off because we're using sanctions. Because Donald Trump backed out of the Iran nuclear deal, and we're using sanctions to prevent them getting a nuclear weapon. Guys, I cannot, in the 20 minutes that we try not to run over on this show, express adequately to you in words how bad the Iran nuclear deal was. But let me just try to put a button on it to kind of sum it up for you. The deal that Barack Obama signed with Iran, which sunsetted after his presidency and fully permitted the development of nuclear weapons in Iran, also committed us to the implementation of military force for the purpose of preventing Israel from attempting to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons. Barack Obama promised Iran that we would use the U.S. Army to stop Israel from taking measures to defend itself against a nuclearized Iran.
I think you just accidentally answered the question there. They hate Netanyahu. However black-pilled
They
he
hate
might
Jews.
be. Exactly.
They're Democrat Party donors. Iran is one of the, if not the largest foreign donor to the Democrat Party. Why? Because the Jews.
Yeah.
If the Democrats were not still, as they have been since the 30s and, well, frankly before, actively interested in exterminating Jews, Iran would not be such a major party donor.
Yeah. That's your black pill this morning.
I
Beta
thought it was a
version of
pretty blue pill. I mean, have you seen the Israeli flag?
So,
Did I derail you?
yeah, I think you might have. I
Yeah.
I had a joke.
I hadn't thought about going down the Jews road, but yeah, I mean, whenever you're talking about the Democrats in the Middle East, one of the things that's worth considering is socialists like killing Jews. Doubt me, and I will point you to Karl Marx.
Well, I think it's actually pretty fair to point out just about anything other than Western liberals and Christians and other Jews, like killing, oppressing, restricting, whatever. Basically anything that's not an us. They really don't like Jews. They don't like them.
Yeah, see, like I'm not what you'd call philo-Semitic by any stretch. I I I just don't care. But when you start, just like gays or trannies or any other group of people that aren't exactly like me, when I think about Jews, what I think is, well, do whatever, and if I see people murdering Jews, then I'll return fire. If I see a gang of assholes trying to beat up a wispy little queer dude, I'll draw my weapon and protect him and defend him. Life is sacred. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about Iran. is we're talking about a country whose national charter includes the explicit intent to commit genocide. And Israel happens to be their target for that.
Oh yeah, it's why they're such big fans of Hezbollah, because Hezbollah has it in their charter: death to Jews.
Real quick, Gavin, the fascists, the Italian fascists, really didn't care all that much about Jews. The only difference there is when the socialists, that would be the Nazis, because Nazis weren't fascists. The fascists were a different organization.
Yeah, and
Both evil, by the way, both terrible things, and both fundamentally socialist. Yes, but Nazis and fascists are not synonymous. They're contemporary, but they are not synonymous.
yeah, though, just
No,
topic
Gavin,
for
I was never a little guy.
topic for a whole different day. I really think it's the perception of the rest of the world that's incorrect. There is so little difference between.
You?
Oh, Greta, I have missed you. I hope you enjoy your $1 million.
Which one?
I don't know, whatever she gets for being a Nobel Peace Prize winner for sailing across an ocean and doing television interviews and yelling at a bunch of grown men. Anyhow, a topic for a whole different show, but I think there's actually very little distinction between Nazism, fascism, and socialism. Now, obviously, there are differences, both technical and in implementation. But when you get really down to the heart of it, you have a collectivist society that has to cede power to the state in order to equalize. But they're all ways of just redistributing everything. Like, please believe there were Jews who were rich as hell in Germany, and what? You think their houses just got burned down?
Well, that was the problem. They were the 1%.
Exactly. I like how you said that in a Bernie Sanders voice. There's some irony there. But they took their stuff.
Yep.
It's what they did. They took their stuff.
Wow, not where I expected this topic to go this morning. So
we're way too close to the JQ. Back off. Left turn.
Well, and I want to talk about the JQ on the show sometime, because I have an opinion on that and a formulation on that is, I'm gonna really, really irritate some super far right wingers. Some super far wish they were right wingers.
There you
actually
go.
There's no such thing as a right wing Nazi. There are neo Nazis who somehow get associated with the far right, but they're socialists.
It's because they're pro business socialists. They'd be the equivalent of
not.
Social socialists.
They're not pro business socialists. But that's a whole other thing. Anyhow, let's get back to why this goes in the total win. Well, Donald Trump quite correctly responded to all of this by sending aid. Where is it?
Oh dear.
I lost my spot. Talk about stuff. It's at U.S. Embassy. Ooh, hello. That's not what I'm looking for.
Are you sure? Because
yes. Anyhow. Go away, stupid ads.
No, okay. I remember when the whole thing happened with good Lord, I'm blanking. I know it was Chris Stevens, but I'm blanking on the embassy where it was at.
Benghazi.
But thank you. See. But I remember when the whole thing happened with the Benghazi embassy. You and I actually had a conversation at the time, and I'm like, God, we've got troops all over that area. We'd literally be able to fly guys in like an hour or two, tops. And besides, why would the guy not have like a 4-man fire team that just stays on post with him at all times? How much of a difference would that have made? and you said something to the effect of, it would have taken a little bit more than a fire team, but not much more. And well, we know what happened. And when we say Ambassador Stevens was dragged out of the embassy and raped to death, I don't say that hyperbolically. I mean, here's a guy who was a fully committed liberal left winger warrior for peace, and he met his end being raped to death. Here was a guy who was a true believer for the cause, and he had a horrible last couple of hours of his life. And why? Because we didn't send help. Our help was so close, they could see the fire at the compound from the backup station, and they were told to stand down. Donald Trump didn't do that. Donald Trump rolled in dozens of Marines. And while the protests are still going on, we don't have any dead ambassadors yet. And while I don't necessarily think that a stalemate is the best outcome morally, I do think the fact that we've slowed them down to a stalemate is probably the best outcome as far as optics go, because we're going into an election cycle. But long story short, that's the total win. How do you stop ambassadors from getting raped to death? Well, when they call for help, you send in the Marines. Like, it's not hard. It's not hard. And and Chris can attest to this. Like, once you go through all your training and everything, this is the kind of call you hope you get. Oh, no, let's go rescue a clear good guy and kill some clear bad guys? Yes! I mean, am I wrong?
Nope. The thing that makes the American fighting Kurds go to work as mercenaries in zones where U.S. soldiers are actively engaged to fight against U.S. soldiers as a sort of trial by fire to prove their manhood. The U.S. fighting man is feared across the world by the world's other warriors like no other. And I've talked about this before on the show. It is not because we are better trained and better armed and better armored. Those are facts in evidence. But the real reason is because we enjoy this work. Warfighting is a noble and respectable profession. And as hobbies go, it's way up on the list of you can't beat that adrenaline rush. You want to talk about a risk-reward scenario? Good God.
Well, and at this point, the American male, and this is one thing that I'm worried about with all of the cultural shift happening in our movies and stuff, but you and I grew up watching movies, with Get Off My Plane and I'll Be Back and, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, and oh, there's your F-bomb. Congratulations. But we grew up with these sorts of masculine heroes. Hey, Sully, remember how I said I'd kill you last? Yeah, I lied. So that's part of the culture of the American male. So the fact that the American male would be excited about getting to kill bad guys, well, we've literally had it spoon-fed into us ever since the first time we saw a Stallone or a Bruce Willis or a Chuck Norris, whatever movie. Roadhouse. That's a good one, Gavin. That's definitely a good one.
Yep.
But anyhow, Totar Win. All we had to do was just, not ignore our ambassador, and he didn't get a bad case of the deads.
So one more thing I just want to, before we wrap it up. Okay, all this stuff that just happened we're talking about. Here's CNN's front page. Start the day here. An ICE detainee dies in custody. Tourists are urged to flee Australia fires. Weed is in and plastic bags are out in 2020. Why the world's awaiting Beetlejuice to go supernova, mysterious drones, Summer Olympics, total eclipse, a dream baseball game. What? What? Nothing? Nothing. I mean, am I missing something on what shows up? In fairness, there might be something a little further down the page, but really?
You would think that the fact that protesters set the Baghdad embassy on fire would, well, they do suck. That's the problem. That's, I think I like, I don't know if I like that one or the Greta one better, but.
How dare you?
Oh, Greta, I was trying to give you a compliment.
But that's all I got for today, brother. You got anything else?
No, just come back tomorrow when we talk about how white hats do indeed matter.
Indeed.
All right, wake the hell up.
Yeah, wake the hell up. It's time to go to work, boys and girls. It's a new day. It's a new year. It's a new decade. Welcome to the Roaring 20s. Stuff's about to get interesting.
Boy.
Win. This guy so much sack. He protect, he attack. This why no more homo erotic rocket ranches. Got it? Got it. Oh Jesus. So much wang.
God, I love that song.
Yeah, me too. All right, brother.